All right, welcome everyone. Tonight we'll be giving a presentation on the Dale Ave Pump Station standby generator project. We ultimately want to hear any community comments on the project so that we can submit them as part of our project's planning application and take the comments into consideration before finalizing the design. My name is Derek Keegan. I'm an engineering manager for Public Works, and I'm supporting the oversight on this project. And accompanying me tonight are Azalea Mitch, Public Works Director, Matt Fabry, Deputy Director, and Macaran Pence, Project Manager for the project. And at the end of the presentation, the four of us will be more than happy to answer any of your questions to the best of our knowledge. Before we begin, we want to share some Zoom webinar guidelines that we have. Questions will be answered after we are done with the presentation, so attendees will be kept on mute for the duration of the presentation. When we are ready to ask questions, please click the raise your hand button if you're using Zoom, or press #9 if you're on your phone, and questions will be asked in order of your hands being raised. Please limit your questions or comments to 3 minutes max. You'll be muted after your question is asked to allow us to respond, and then raise your hand again if you have follow-up questions. This meeting is being recorded, so by joining the meeting through Zoom or through phone, you agree to be recorded. Lastly, the recording will be posted onto our project webpage for future viewing and sharing. So tonight we'll be giving an overview of the Clean Water Program, an overview of the Dale Ave Pump Station, along with recent improvements. We'll be talking about the future standby generator installation, expectations during and after construction of the generator installation, and then followed up lastly with questions and answers. So let's dive into it. So our sewer service area covers not just San Mateo, it also covers Foster City, Crystal Springs County Sanitation District, and portions of Hillsborough County and Belmont. The image shown pretty much shows the whole service area, along with the Dale Ave Pump Station with acronym DAPS shown in yellow there, circle, and then the wastewater treatment plant shown with the yellow square. The purpose of any wastewater collection and treatment system is to collect and convey the wastewater to the treatment plant, treat the wastewater, and discharge the treated wastewater into the San Francisco Bay. This is typically done through a network of sewer components. This is depicted through the image on the bottom. The gravity mains collect the sewage and allow gravity to make it flow down slope. Once a gravity main becomes too deep, pump stations and force mains are utilized. The pipes coming out of pump stations are called force mains because there is pressure from the pumps forcing the sewage back up to a higher elevation. In some systems, a pump station force main is utilized to convey the wastewater to the treatment plant. Now, our San Mateo sanitary collection system consists of 240 miles of sewer, 5,800 manholes, 26 pump stations, the largest being the pump station at Dale Avenue, and it ultimately collects all the wastewater treated and gets treated at the wastewater treatment plant. The challenge with any system is that once it is built and installed, components start to age and outgrow its useful life or the needs of the growing system. Our San Mateo system works pretty well, but there are definitely some aging components of our infrastructure that needs to be replaced and improved. Portions of our system do not have the capacity to properly maintain operations during peak low weather. When there is significant rain, the rain infiltrates into our system through defects and mixes with the raw sewage. This diluted sewage sometimes exceeds the capacity of our system, and a sanitary sewer overflow, or SSO, occurs in our system. The video to the left shows an SSO occurring at the intersection of Delaware and Saratoga near the San Mateo County Event Center. The image in the middle is a map of the city with an overlay of blue dots. Each of the blue dots represents a historical or modeled sanitary sewer overflow location in the system. So when an SSO occurs, the diluted wastewater comes out of the pipes, overflows out of the manhole onto the streets, then into our gutters, into our drain inlets, into our channels and creeks, and into our marina lagoon, and making its way into the San Francisco Bay. And contamination occurs along every path of that travel. The city is aware of the issue. In some instances, we've had to close our beaches because of the contamination in the water. And in 2009, the California Water Board issued the City of San Mateo a cease and desist order mandating the city to eliminate SSOs from occurring in the system. As a result, the city evaluated the deficiencies in our system, and in 2015, we established a clean water program. The goals of the program are to replace aging infrastructure and facilities, build wet weather sewer system capacity to assure against sanitary sewer overflows from occurring, to meet current and future regulatory requirements, and to align with the city's sustainability goals. Ultimately, the goal is to protect the Bay and our community for a sustainable future. Now let's give a little bit more information on the Dale Ave Pump Station. Many of you are here tonight because your property is within the vicinity of the Dale Ave Pump Station, and you probably received a notification about the project. It is located at 1025 Patricia Avenue, as shown here in the image. It's east of Highway 101 and north of Highway 92, approximately half a mile west of the treatment plant, and is surrounded by Patricia Avenue, Young Street, Hemlock Avenue, and Norfolk Street. As I mentioned before, it is the city's largest sanitary sewer pump station. It also has to operate 24 hours, 7 days a week. It consists of 5 large pumps, 2 force mains that pump the wastewater from the Dale Avenue Pump Station site to the wastewater treatment plant through the force mains on Dale Avenue. On average, it pumps 6 million gallons per day, and during peak wet weather, it has the capacity of pumping 61 million gallons per day. We've actually had a Dale Avenue Pump Station project under construction since 2020. And since then, many improvements have already been done. We've replaced pumps, piping, valves, and other associated elements. We've aligned the existing force mains on Dale Avenue and installed access chambers. We've completed process improvements, electrical instrumentation and ventilation system improvements, and improved safety and accessibility for our staff to operate and maintain the facility as well. Now let's talk about the future standby generator installation. So why do we need an emergency generator? Ultimately, it provides a backup power source for the Dale Avenue Pump Station if power service is interrupted to maintain the 24/7 operations. A new generator will meet the newer stringent air quality requirements. And if DAPS is unable to operate for a long period of time, sanitary sewer overflows will occur throughout the entire system. By adding the new generator, we will help to prevent SSOs during power failures and also protect our community and environment. The generator is proposed to be placed on the east side of the parcel, as shown here and circled in yellow. The city evaluated other locations on the parcel, but there were constraints such as underground utilities, accessibility, and zoning setback requirements. So the eastern portion of the parcel is the most feasible location for this new generator. Here's an aerial rendering of what the generator may look like on the parcel. If you have a property directly adjacent to the Dale Avenue parcel, Dale Avenue Pump Station parcel, you may be wondering how close it will be to your home. The magenta lines and dimensions represent the distances from the property line to the generator unit, 32 feet to the north, 40 feet to the east, and 36 to the south to the property lines. And then the orange lines and dimensions represent the distances from the generator to the main residential buildings, about 100 feet to the north and south, and about 75 to the east. This and the next 2 slides will show schematic cross sections to display the approximate distances between homes, fences, or walls and the generator, along with how much of the generator may be visible above the fence or the wall from the building. In the upper image, the red lines and arrows represent where the cross section represents and the direction that the cross section is facing. This cross section shows the home on Young Street to the north of the generator, and based on the approximate height of the existing fence and the distances between the home and generator, approximately 11 feet of the generator will be visible above the fence. This cross-section is of the home on Hemlock. There is a 6-foot wall separating the properties. Approximately 11 feet of the generator will be visible above this 6-foot wall. And the last cross-section is of the home on Norfolk. There's an 8-foot fence separating the properties. And with this situation, approximately 9.5 feet of the generator will be visible above the 6-foot wall. Now, what to expect during construction? The next 2 slides will provide you a step-by-step phasing. First phase will be site preparation. It's going to take approximately 1 week and average 2 heavy vehicles per day. For the site prep, we'll have equipment such as the one depicted there on the upper right image. We'll have active dust control and complete site clearing to make sure that the eastern portion of the parcel has enough room to install this. Phase 2 is excavation. We'll remove a portion of the soil on the site for a pad foundation, and this requires heavy machinery for digging. Same thing, about 1 week and 2 heavy vehicles per day, and active dust control throughout construction. And then phase 3 is drilled pile installation. It's going to be about a week, 3 piles per day, and 3 heavy vehicles per day. We'll still have dust control, and we'll need to drill approximately 8 to 10 piles for this for the foundation of the generator. And we'll have, as part of the excavation and drilling, we'll have off-hauling vehicles to remove the soil from the site. Next 3 phases. Phase 4 is to form and pour a concrete foundation. This will take about 2 weeks to lay the rebar, put the formwork, and then pour. We'll have trucks and pumping equipment to pump the concrete into place. Phase 5 is actual equipment installation. This will take approximately 2 weeks. 2 heavy vehicles to deliver and place the generator. The image to the bottom right shows 1 crane and 1 heavy equipment delivery truck bringing in a generator onto the site. And we'll have traffic control during the delivery and install generator, piping, and wiring as part of this phase. And the last phase is testing and startup, which will take 2 weeks to test and run the generator to make sure it operates correctly. So this is just a summary of the anticipated construction schedule, outlining the previous 2 slides. In total, we're anticipating to start construction in spring 2023. It will take approximately 2 to 3 months based on the schedule that we've outlined below. And of course, with any type of schedule and construction, there is subject to adjustment to allow to address any issues that may come up. For construction hours, it's going to be similar to our active construction project. Allowable construction hours are Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Construction is not planned for weekends or outside normal construction hours. However, if exceptions may be needed, we may have city approval, such as for the generator delivery. And if that is the case and we have weekend or outside normal construction hours, we will notify the public. Also, our construction traffic routes, we have designated city truck and haul routes shown there in blue off of Kehoe Avenue and 3rd Avenue. And then we have proposed project routes to and from those designated haul routes shown in orange up and down Norfolk to deliver the generator. And the contractor is required to submit a traffic control plan, and we'll review it against our city standards. Now let's talk about what happens after construction in terms of operations and maintenance. So the generator is expected to be used when power service is interrupted. On average, we've historically had to run our old generator up to 8 times per year for 1 to 5 hours per use. And that, like I said, is when power service from PG&E is interrupted. Secondarily, we are required to run the generator for testing and maintenance, no more than 50 hours per year, to maintain our air quality management district compliance. So on average, it's about half an hour per month, and also a 1 yearly 2-hour test to meet the regulatory requirements. In terms of sound attenuation during operation, emergency generators are exempt from the city's maximum permissible sound levels. I took a screen clip of the municipal code shown there in the table. So zone 1 is a residential zone, and from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., the standards require for 50 decibels, and for 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. is 60 decibels. And so that's for normal non-exempt type of applications. But as I stated from the first bullet, the emergency generator is exempt. However, regardless, we will be placing the generator in a sound attenuated enclosure. This reduces the sound pressure levels to 72 decibels at the property line when in use. And then the existing property fence and walls will provide additional sound attenuation, and we've estimated this to reduce the sound levels by 5 to 10 decibels. And then based on the approximate distances between the generator and the residential homes, 100 feet to the north and south and 75 to the east, as I shown in the previous slide, we're anticipating the decibel levels to drop to about 60 decibels at the buildings. And so the image to the right shows a sort of meter of what the different decibel levels are supposed to sound like. And so at 60 decibels, it's going to sound like a normal conversation at 1 to 2 meters. And then at 70, it's going to sound like a car driving by. And lastly, this new generator with exhaust equipment will reduce emissions during operation and will meet the air quality requirements. Ultimately, the exhaust equipment will treat the exhaust and release exhaust nitrogen and water to the environment, keeping our air quality in the neighborhood clean. So the next steps are we want to obtain any comments from the community. As part of the planning application for this generator, we will submit all the comments along with our planning application to the City Development Review Board for code compliance. And then we will finalize our design to address any planning application review comments. And after the application is approved, we plan on starting generator construction in spring 2023. And then we will continue to outreach and engage the community prior to and during construction as well. So we thank you for listening to our presentation. Please share your comments related to the project. Share your comments tonight. If you are shy and want to email us any comments or questions, here's our email address. We also have a Dale Avenue Pump Station project site to learn more about the project details on what improvements have already been completed. We also have a hotline number for the Clean Water Program for you to call in on any sewer related inquiries you may have, not just for this project, and also just to promote the city's social media. We are on Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right, and so just to remind everyone, for the Q&A session, please raise your hand over the phone. Please raise your hand and click the raise your hand if you are in Zoom, and press #9 if you're on phone. Raise your hand. Questions will be asked one at a time. Limit 3 minutes per question, and questioners will be muted after they ask their question. And the panelists, as I identified earlier on, are Azalea Mitch, our Public Works Director, Matt Fabry, our Deputy Public Works Director, myself, the Engineering Manager, and Mac Pence, our Project Manager. And we have one hand raised from 852487. I just unmuted you, so please feel free to ask your question. Whoever's on the line with the ID 852487. If you have a question, please state it right now. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next attendee.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Did you hear me, sir?
No, now I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Sandra Barosio. I live at 1000 Patricia Avenue. There is a great big container on Patricia for the past over 2 years. And we would like to know, when is that going to be moved so that we can have at least some kind of a residential street? Number two, What are we going to do about all the crack walls inside the house after you finish the vibration mode of your project? Lived there for 40 years and we've patched and patched and patched. This time the cracks are bigger and bigger, extending from the sidewalks onto the street on Patricia because of the heavier trucks that are being used. I know you showed the map where the trucks are going to be on Norfolk, but they don't always go to Norfolk. Sometimes they come in through Patricia over to the Dale because it's easier or it's direct. So I can't stand out there in the middle of the street trying to prevent trucks. How are you going to monitor that the trucks do go to the routed designation as you have in your lovely map? That's another question. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you. And can you remind, can you state your name again?
Sandra?
Sandra. All right, thank you, Sandra. So 2 questions. One was what will happen to the trailer on Patricia right now, and how are we going to monitor and enforce the traffic routes?
And compensation for all the cracked walls inside our houses that are within the 500-yard from the Dale Pump Station.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So that trailer on Patricia right now was a temporary generator that we needed, that we'll need until the new generator is put into place. We've actually just replaced that temporary generator and moved another one on site. I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but in between the building and this square facility here in this open area, we just mobilized a new temporary generator so that we could remove the one on Patricia. So that one is still being connected, and hopefully this week or next week, by next week, we'll have full connection of the new generator, and we'll have the generator rental company demobilize and remove that trailer on Patricia. So that's question 1. And yeah, we've received other inquiries about that, and I believe Sheila on the line right now, who's one of the attendees, may be inquiring about that as well. So she inquired about that as well in the past, and so we were waiting to make sure we have everything in line and have the new temporary generator in place before we communicate these changes to the community. That's item 1. In terms of traffic management, we have a construction manager in place who will be closely coordinating with the contractor for the delivery of this. Right now, most of the Dale Avenue Pump Station contractor work is coming to a close, with the exception of this generator. And most of the time they are coming in off of Norfolk right now. My understanding is there is another project using that parcel across the street from Patricia as well. So I can't really talk about that too much at the moment, but we'll be monitoring and directing them to follow the approved traffic control plan. As for the cracks and so forth at your property, I'm not sure right now how we could address that, and maybe Azalea or Matt can chime in here. But if there is an issue, the city does have a claims process. You could go online and we could, and if you contact that email address that I provided earlier, feel free to reach out about that, and we could email you that claims form for you to submit.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. Indeed, I was just going to chime in that we do have a claims process. So if you email us, we will send you that information.
All right, next up is Sheila. I'm gonna allow you to talk here now, Sheila.
Hi, Derek. Yeah, so I think Sandra asked the main question I had, which was how long is that trailer going to be sitting there? And it sounds like it's going to be moved maybe in about 3 weeks.
We're hoping sooner than 3 weeks. I don't know if from your property now, Sheila, you have seen the new the new trailer be mobilized onto within the walls of our parcel here. So once that's ready and connected and operational, then we could demobilize it.
Okay.
Demobilize the other one.
Yeah, I saw it delivered, but I did not see where it went. I just know the guy couldn't get where he was going from Patricia originally. Yes, I think that was my main question. And just that this is an additional project on top of what we've been experiencing for the last 2.5 years. So it wasn't part of the original rehab of the pump station itself.
Correct. It's associated with it, but because of the zoning requirements, we've had to submit a planning application for this new unit, because now it's essentially a new piece of equipment on site, as opposed to within the Dale Ave Pump Station building.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, up next is Kathy Cheng. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I kind of want to also piggyback off of Sandra's question from earlier. Not only, is it about the cracks in the walls, it's about like the sidewalks. We've had crooked sidewalks for a long time. People have come out, the city has come out, fixed them. But after, a few months, the sidewalks are so uneven that when my kids scooter down the street, they fall all the time. So is that also something that we could, email about with that form that you're telling Sandra to fill out?
I would think that would be a different form.
If I can chime in. Hi. So we do have a sidewalk. We do address trip hazards. So what we can do, it's a separate program outside of the clean water, outside of this effort. But if you can contact us, and we can go ahead and survey and assess any trip hazards.
And how do I get a hold of you guys, or how do I reach out? Is there like an email or a phone number?
Yes, you can. There you go. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, Kathy, here's your email address in the middle left here, info@cleanwaterprogram.sanmateo.org. Although the sidewalks aren't part of the clean water sewer improvements, we'll definitely forward you off to the appropriate divisions to address the issue.
Okay, thank you. And also, I also do have concern about the traffic as well, because I do know that there was a delivery one time, and a big rig came down the street and literally ripped out the pole. And I know that our neighbors have not yet been compensated for that.
Yeah, I was aware of that delivery. That was actually not one of our contractors. That was, I think it was one of the other utility companies. It could have been Comcast or AT&T. But yeah, we were definitely aware of that. We were surprised by that, and we coordinated with that third-party utility company to address it.
Okay, thank you.
One more question, please.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Thank you, sir. The sidewalks, I complained about the sidewalk being lifted, and a senior person that lives up the street actually tripped in front of my house. I strongly apologized. I offered medical care. I offered her my insurance. I was so scared. So I called Public Works and said, can you please fix the sidewalk, because there's seniors trying to walk with walkers in front of the house. And you guys did a little patch walk that looks like a little black tar over the crack that's about 2 inches high now. It used to be nothing. It was real level because it was a brand new sidewalk 10 years ago. Brand new sidewalk, brand new street. When I lived there, when I was there, we did a whole new street. And then the construction started and undid that beautiful street and those beautiful sidewalks. Are we ever going to have a beautiful sidewalk and streets like the other side of El Camino. I always love to go by Alameda de las Pulgas. They have beautiful landscaping. We have nothing other than trucks and dust and cracks and claim forms to fill and insurance companies to deal with that they don't want to hear about me anymore. So they say, go to the city. And you said, fix the sidewalk. Well, you send over a crew and they put a tar patch on top of the crack, which is of course elevated 2 more inches. It's a little like a ramp. And nobody can cross a ramp, especially not a child on a scooter or a senior person. Are we ever going to get a nice sidewalk and a nice street like we used to have? That's my question.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you for your question. So so sidewalks are actually not the responsibility of the city. That is per state law. It's actually the homeowner's responsibility. What we do, however, is we address trip hazards. And so we will get our crews out there and assess the work that was done previously as best as we can. But indeed, per state law, it's actually the responsibility of the homeowner. And that is throughout the entire city. Obviously, some areas, depending on the soils, may change more than others, but we will go ahead and address that trip hazard that you noted. But indeed, in terms of a sidewalk replacement, that is not something that we do, but we do address the trip hazards.
So who does the sidewalks? The city owner, property owner.
So they're not owned, they're the responsibility of the homeowner.
Of the homeowner.
Yes, per state law.
The property line of one side of my house to the other side of the house is my responsibility. So that means the sidewalk belongs to me. So I choose to put a gravel sidewalk instead. So that way you guys can crack it all you want because it's my sidewalk, right?
So I can send you the information. It is the responsibility for maintaining the sidewalk is indeed the homeowners, even though it is in the public right of way. Any improvements need to follow our standards, and that's why we have those posted on our website. But I can definitely send you the information on our standards and also the process and where that responsibility lies.
Wow.
We have Sheila with her hand raised again. I'm going to unmute you, Sheila.
Yes, thanks. This question might be better answered by Azalea. And I was just curious as to which project is currently using the lot across the street from the Dale Avenue pump station. You know?
So meaning on our property, it is the same project.
It is part of the pump station project or part of the whole clean water project?
It's part of the clean water program, yes.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised. We have also, okay. We have Sandra again.
Sorry. Can I count on the city of San Mateo to clean up our street to make it look like a neighborhood street and take all the equipment off of Patricia and put it on the parallel property, city property, right next to Sheila's house is a city property. Why can't we put all your equipment in there as a storage instead of Patricia Avenue? Please, can we? Can you? That's my question.
Sandra, thank you. This is Derek again. So besides that trailer across from Sheila's, you know, we've already discussed moving that onto the site. We could coordinate with the contractor to move any of their any of their equipment onto the site as well, or find alternate locations that's feasible. I can't speak for any of the other clean water program activities that may be using that site, or any other contractors in that site, because I'm aware that, you know, there was some remodeling of residential properties in that area too, and so we can't really enforce moving the private property contractors' equipment off the site. All right, we have 3 other attendees that have not had any questions. We have Wiley, we have Gretchen, and then we have a call-in with the phone number 585. I don't know if any of them have any questions. If so, please raise your hand, or press #9 if you're on the phone. Otherwise, we could keep taking questions from Sheila, Sandra, or Kathy. Hi, Gretchen.
Yes, hello, this is Gretchen. I actually have, I've heard quite a few of the questions that I had in my mind, so I think for the most part I'm okay. However, the temporary generator, I actually see it in, you know, from my backyard. So I just wanted to know, so it's basically like butting into maybe about, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 feet from my property. I just wanted to know how long the temporary one will be there for.
We'll need to maintain that temporary generator until the permanent generator is installed. Mm-hmm. So, you know, based on the schedule that we have, we plan on the generator in spring 2023, and should take, I think it said 2 to 3 months to complete. So,
and immediately after, or would that be operating in parallel for a period of time?
Until the new generator, once that's installed and tested and commissioned and confirm that it operates correctly, we have to keep that temporary generator in place. But once the new generator is installed correctly and operates well, we'll remove that from the site.
So we're looking at about minimum 6 months, I think.
By next summer, it should be out.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Sandra has her hand raised again.
I know I drive on Hemlock, and the street is deplorable. It's sunken in places. It's uneven. It's never, well, it didn't used to be like that. And I know it's because of the Dale Pump Station. I am dreadfully sorry to my neighbors on those streets that are caved in, dipped in, cracked, ruined, and nothing is done. After we get this fabulous new generator and the project is done and the mayor comes down and snips a ribbon and all that good stuff, can we have our streets redone? We've done it before. I'm sorry to say it went to waste with all the heavy equipment from the Dale Pump Station. And I know you're saying, hey, the pump station was there before you were. You should have known better before you bought the house. Well, the Dale Pump Station was very, very small when I bought the property. So that doesn't work anymore. Can we see a date as neighbors to have decent streets, please?
Sandra, we do have a program. We continuously monitor the condition of the roads throughout the city. So we have them programmed based on conditions. So I can get back to you on when these streets are scheduled to be repaved. So we can provide that information to you because we have the program laid out based on condition.
And Azalea, I've been coordinating closely with the CIP division on the areas around Dale Avenue Pump Station. I believe Hemlock was identified on the Smooth Streets program, and I think it should be paved within the next year or two, but we'll have to confirm and report back to Sandra.
Yes, we've been in the process of designing the challenges here. The design is actually more involved because of the soils. So we've been in the process of designing the reconstruction. But indeed, we will get back to you with the program and a better assessment of where these streets fall schedule-wise.
And in general, the sewer division that I oversee and the paving division, we try to coordinate closely and time everything appropriately so that we avoid, we time it so that we do all the underground utility work first before paving so that we don't rip up a brand new paved road. So we understand that Hemlock and some of the surrounding areas there do have bad paving condition, but there is a strategy behind waiting until our project is done. All right, Kathy, got your hand raised. Go for it.
Hi. So in talking about taking responsibility and fixing the street and monitoring the street, why is it that applied to the sidewalks? I mean, if you could take responsibility for the streets being uneven and the movement, doesn't that also apply to the sidewalks as well? I understand sidewalks is like a homeowner responsibility, but when the construction that's happening in our neighborhood is, could be responsible for the streets, why not the sidewalks? Because obviously they would move together, right?
So the issue with the roads, right? The roads are designed for traffic, and that's why there's a lot of more wear and tear on the roads. And so we do, like I said, we do have a program in place that's in perpetuity where we assess the streets throughout the city to repair because the sidewalks are the homeowner's responsibility and they're made of a different material. Typically the challenges that one sees with sidewalks is sort of over the long haul cracking and repairs that just happen because they've been around for decades. Whereas with roads, we do have plans that span between 10 years when we do certain treatments and then reconstruction after 20 or 30 years. So different timeframes and different use and different span of responsibility as well. But we can provide this group if you email us, like I said, information on how we manage trip hazards as it relates to sidewalks and how we manage the repair, ongoing maintenance of the city streets. And we can provide you with the plan for the next few years in terms of the rehabilitation of the streets in this area.
With Sandra again. Sandra?
Sorry. The rotation, the program that we have in our lovely city, the rotation of the streets, I've seen that program for many years. That's why we had our street done beautifully. And yes, I admit it is a couple of decades old, but it was designed for residential traffic, not trucks, construction, more trucks, generators, whatever it is. That street, Patricia Avenue was not designed to have that kind of weight on it. It's designed or was designed purposely for residential traffic. And I'm sorry to disagree with the young lady, Azalea, that you're just very talented woman. I've seen you before, but when you use the word design, Patricia Avenue was designed for residents, not construction. I hope you understand that. And then my property, 1000 Patricia Avenue, happens to have a city tree on it, and I respect city trees. This tree roots have gone all across the little tiny lawn. Now, please, the point is that if you try to fix the sidewalk, your city tree is going to buckle it, right? So if I time it, like you said, we have to orchestrate, and patience and time and waiting for all this to get done choreographically with the city. I'm out of lawn, I'm out of tree, I'm out of sidewalk. Where does my city come in, and where does my tax dollar come in? This is very frustrating. I want to do the lawn, I can't. I want to make it efficient, less water, no little tiny stinky little grass that I have over the city tree. I'm trying to choreograph it, like you said, but there's just no end to this. Our street is being violated every single day with heavy equipment. And that's why we have the cracks. It wasn't designed to hold tonnage like we're doing today. And it wasn't designed to hold vibration that we have been dealing with for the past 3 years, not 2. It was way before that, because I had people working on that house on the inside, getting all the works done, the walls done. Then the sewerage backed up. And it was not residential sewage. I've seen it before. It was sludge, mud. And that's again from all the vibrations on the antiquated, or in my case, brand new plumbing. I'm sorry. The question is, how do I orchestrate and plan to do the rotation properly as the city does so well to help out? I want to help make Patricia like it used to be, trees and sidewalks and streets decent, not what we have now. And you know where we are lacking. You know where the cracks are. I know you know, because I've seen you there and I've called you there. And you know that Hemlock Street is not even a street anymore. It's a gutter. It's up and down. No other street in San Mateo is that debilitated. Even the shore view streets over by Coyote Point have been done beautifully. Or perhaps that was, I don't know, I won't go in there, but they were done beautifully. And I know that they were not in the schedule, but they got beautiful streets down there. We want a beautiful street. When can we have that? When can this be completed? I know we supply sewage for a lot of communities. Can they contribute to your little budget to get more streets built, and specifically Patricia Avenue and Hemlock? Thank you.
We hear you, Sandra. Like I said, if you send us your email, we will send you the schedule for the street rehabilitation program. And we are focusing on these areas. Like I said, the design here is a little bit more complicated because of the soils, but we are in the process of wrapping that up and scheduling that. So we can send you the detailed information on the timing.
Thank you, Zelia. We have Gretchen and then Pauline. So Gretchen.
Thank you, Derek. I actually have 2 questions. One, I'm speaking for my neighbor. I think she's not able to get in. She's asking if it's possible to have planting of cypress trees around the perimeter, where so at least it kind of blocks the view of a lot of the the generators and the buildings and whatnot. Because right now, if you look at it from my property 1412, especially most of my other neighbors as well, from their properties, it's just not a very pretty sight. It's all just buildings upon buildings, and it's really not pretty. So is it possible to at least plant cypress trees to at least kind of, block that view, right? And then the other one for me, actually, it's partially, I just would like to emphasize on our end, I don't know if anyone has brought it up. Also on Young Street, we have experienced a lot of cracking, not just on our walls, but also on our foundation. and we're really very worried about it. I do understand that there's a claims, how would I put it, process for it. I just wanted to kind of find out, because honestly, I'm kind of apprehensive every time I hear about that one. How reasonable is it? Would somebody be coming in here? Is it going to be like, is it going to be an onerous process? Let's just put it that way. And then I know for a fact that you're going to be doing a lot more construction. Is that something that I should do now, the claims, or when everything is done? So at least it's just, you know, going through everything once.
I can answer that, Derek. So we, let's see, on your second question, in terms of the claims process, it is managed by our city attorney's office, and it is typically handled by third parties. You have the ability to submit a claim at any time. So that we cannot advise you on, but the process is there, and it is handled not by Public Works, but city attorneys, because they do assess the claim. With respect to screening, as you requesting, I think it's both you and your neighbor, we will go ahead and consider that, evaluate cypress trees, some sort of screening. We have to assess whether it can be done because of the underground utilities, but we will take that into consideration as part of the comments at this meeting.
Thank you, Gretchen and Pauline and Azalea. Next up is Pauline Chen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I actually live at the corner of Young and Patricia, and since I've moved in here for the last 4 years, the cracks at the corner of my neighborhood, as well as my neighbors, it's been dramatic since then. It's when we can see a dip in there, and the cracks are continuous. Like every year, there's more and more cracks, and I don't know if it's because I live at the corner and because of the ground continuously shifting. I had cracks in my wall. The ground shifted to the point where my baseboards were 1 inch and 1.5 inches lower than the actual floor. So I couldn't close my door. So I was forced to do foundation work, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we literally just completed. Our entire family was directly impacted because we had to move out while the work was being done. So I'd love to understand, like, how can we see some kind of compensation or something so that our neighborhood is improving? Because I can see across from my neighbor, they are seeing the same foundation impacts that we're seeing, and our entire block, like we're seeing, and across the street, we're seeing impacts to the neighborhood. And I know you mentioned like there's a claims process, but honestly, we've asked the question and we're not sure how legit the claims process is, because nobody's heard anything back about what we can do, and we've spent a lot of money on our house already. And we see tons of cracks on the walls that we had to address too, potentially causing safety issues on our house as well.
Pauline, thank you for your question. Indeed, like as you noted, and if you've gone through this process, groundwater levels and soil types matter. And we are in an area where there's a lot of shifting because of the existing conditions. So I think it's a matter of reaching out. You know, we can't advise you legally. We can only tell you that there is a claims process that you can look into to file a claim against the city. But as you noted, it's all about groundwater levels and soils. So the only information we can give you is that the city does have a process for any claims based on damage that you think is the result of city's activities.
All right, I don't see any more hands raised. Sandra, again. Sandra?
I don't, okay, this is more of a, yes, it's a question or a comment. Yes, there are shifting in our area. Like you said, the soils have a lot to do with it. When I bought the property, the soils were not tampered with. Vibration and heaviness of vehicles and construction after construction. And I mean big, big construction, not just a construction of a remodel, like you said, in a house. No. It's big construction. We take the brunt out of many cities to supply them with clean water. And I understand that. But to use the metaphor of, well, it's the soil that you have your house on that shifts all the time. And so therefore, Ms. Chang, you might be experiencing the soil. The soil is soil and it stays packed until it's disturbed or agitated by weight or construction or vibrations. That's how it gets agitated. It doesn't just arbitrarily move. If you move the new sewer pump, if you do palings or pilings right into the ground, the soil changes right around the houses that are being affected by the piling. And that's a fact. I'm not an engineer, but I've seen it physically. So no, soils don't just jump up and down. They're made to jump up and down by vibrations and construction. And we just want a solid answer. Please don't say claims, because claims is not going to satisfy someone like Mrs. Chang, who had to hundreds of thousands of dollars to redo her house. And it's still cracking. There has to be a source or a way to help this community that surrounds a very important DAPS generator project. It's a very important project. And yes, I understand it. But what about us? And don't say the soil is shifting, please. Please. We deal with shore, we deal with water. I know the houses were built on swamp. It used to be a farm. My house was put on top of a cow farm. It used to be a dairy. I know that. I have history. Soils and shifting is caused by the agitation of heavy equipment and construction. Never mind the tide going in from the bay. No, it's that. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Sandra. Kathy Cheng.
Hi, I just have a comment to make really quick. I just want to say that I know Sandra's asking a lot of hard questions, and but what she's saying, she's not alone. Just because the rest of us aren't asking the same questions, we all feel the same way. So I do know that Sandra's asking a lot of hard questions, but I also applaud Sandra for asking these questions on behalf of all the neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, we have no more hands raised. All right, we have Wiley. Go ahead, Wiley. You may have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've been in this house for 33 years, and my father bought this house in 1950, and it just got passed down through our family. I'm on Young Street, right behind the tanks that they put in, 2 tanks. So I was here when about, I want to say 33 years ago, when they started to build more things back there. And they came and they videotaped all our homes to see what they were like prior to the construction, so that if there was damage, then we could submit a claim. One thing I noticed you did not do, or not you, but the city did not do this do blah, I can't speak, sorry, do it this time. I'm wondering why, because maybe they knew there would be damage. We have had a significant movement in our floors. My son came to visit us from Southern California, and he could see it. We kind of live here, so we don't notice it that much, but he pointed it out to us. And if we ever drop any kind of water, spill water in, from a glass or something, it immediately goes, a certain direction. So anyway, I know it's complicated what I'm saying, but I really want to know why the city didn't come and videotape like last time. And we didn't really have any damage last time. This time we do. And we actually had some neighbors the first time who had damage, and they submitted claims, and they were, compensated. But anyway. So that's my question.
Thank you, Wyland. I can't speak to what was done. I think you said 30 or so years ago when they videoed the property. This time, the city did not consider doing it. I don't know if Azalea has anything else to add on to it, but yeah, that was not one of the, I guess, conditions that we had as part of the contract.
So we can definitely go back and assess in terms of the engineering design. Part of this depends on, I'm assuming that 30 years ago, we were probably doing some, depends on the construction, right? The dewatering matters in terms of soil and groundwater movement. But that's my only speculation in terms of the type of work that was done 30 years ago, that then, the engineer's recommendation would have been to document. So it depends on the activity and the scope. So we can definitely go back and assess in terms of what that engineering recommendation was for this project. But indeed, I mean, the focus here has been on the internal pump station, replacing all the pumps, now adding this generator because of more stringent air regulations, and then lining of the force mains. So, the activities there were probably didn't deem the requirement there or the recommendation to videotape. But we can go back and provide a better explanation for the decisions that were made during the design. If there are no more questions during this meeting, as Derek has the slide, please submit your questions in writing or give us a call. But we have been taking note here with the comments and questions that have been asked, and we will follow up on some of the items that were that have been raised.
Yeah, I see no more hands up. I just want to thank you, thank the community for participating in this meeting, providing comments, asking questions. As I noted earlier, this meeting was being recorded, so we will download that video and upload it to our Clean Water Program website. That you see the URL for that website at the bottom left there of the screen. And yes, please continue to share any comments, call our hotline if you have any other inquiries related to sewer improvements. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, and good night.